Hello and welcome to FPL Mate, your best mate for fantasy Premier League content for the 2022-23 season. My name is Dan and welcome to the Game Week 2 episode of Asking 100 Experts, the videos where we ask 100 experts basically what they're doing this game week, what transfers are they making, if any, are they using any chips, who are they going to captain, and we're going to try and derive some information from that, try and look at some patterns emerging to help us make our own moves. Guys, this is going to be a little bit of a different one because it's a video that says so little and yet so much. So I think we're going to really get into the FPL Experts psyche, but it's certainly not the most exciting episode that I've ever made, in my personal opinion. But if you do enjoy it, please do like regardless. I would massively appreciate that. And do subscribe if you're new around here and you want more FPL content in your faces. But without further ado, guys, let's meet the experts. Well, there you go, guys. On your screen, 100 FPL experts, pundits, and content creators, all within their own rights. There are YouTubers in there. There are writers and bloggers and podcasters. There's all kinds of people in there, and they're all very good FPL experts. And if they weren't very good at FPL, they wouldn't make the video. So thank you so much to all of you who are getting involved in these, providing your data. Like these guys on screen right now are absolute legends. If you see these names about anywhere, make sure you check out their stuff. Alright, a quick overview to start ourselves off. So 37% of our experts are making just one transfer this game week. 2% are making two transfers. 58%, so well over half of our experts are not making any transfer whatsoever this week. And 3% of managers are using the wild card this week. So really, in terms of those panicking, I guess it's 5%. You know, if you're making two transfers or more, or using a wild card, it's probably because you're panicking a little bit. So only 5% of our experts are panicking. What does that tell you? Experts keep it cool early on in the season. And so many, for over half, well over half of our experts to be not making any transfers whatsoever, really just shows that if you've worked hard enough on your game week 1 team, you probably should trust it for more than one game week before starting to panic. I mean, we all built our team for more than one game week. Why judge it on one game week kind of thing? And I'm sure a lot of these experts had very good game week 1 scores as well. So that's the general trends there. Okay guys, so what I like to do at the beginning of these videos is look at the most popular Game Week 2 transfers so far among all FPL players. So among all FPL managers in the world, all millions and millions and millions of them, what are the most popular transfers for most people? And do these transfers align with our experts? So we're seeing Haaland at the top, number 1, by far the most popular transfer in. But there are some others that come reasonably close in terms of, you know, over 50%. So Zinchenko is over 50% of Haaland's transfers, which is pretty good. We've got Mitrovic in there as well, Kulusevski, Martinelli, Darwin, and then we go down the list and some other fairly popular transfers. And what I can tell you is the distribution of transfers that you see on screen here is absolutely nothing like our experts' transfers. In fact, we're going to go through these and have a look. Are there any popular ones among our experts? Well, out of this list, there is just one player that you see on screen that was heavily transferred in by our 100 FPL experts, and that player is none other than Erling Haaland. Like, no surprise there. The number 1 transfer in the world is also the number 1 transfer among our FPL experts. That is a really big transfer. Aside from that, there is really no interest in anyone else that you see on screen. In fact, there's only one player on this list that has even been transferred in by one of our experts, and that is Martinelli. So all of the other players, Zinchenko, Mitrovic, Kulusevski, Darwin, Gross, Cher, Saliba, Salah, Mendy and Trippier, not a single one of our 100 experts are transferring in any of these players, maybe excluding the wildcarders, because wildcarders, you know, work slightly differently, but it's more difficult to get a hold of that data. But certainly, if you're making a transfer this week, it pretty much should be Haaland or Martinelli from this particular list of players. All the other most popular players are pretty much mudded, and no expert is really interested in bringing them in at this stage, which is, I think, just says so much about how early season, so many people panic transfer and make loads of transfers, where experts, we're really seeing this trend of the expert FPL manager really keeping their cool at the beginning of the season and not really going too mad on these kind of players. So guys, let's move on And look at the most popular transfers out. So, the most popular transfers out, again, not very much distribution here. We've got Harry Kane. So, out of the 39 of our FPL managers who are making at least one transfer this week. So, this doesn't include the wildcarders, and it doesn't include those who didn't make a transfer at all this week. We have got a real heavy... we've got a lot of Kane. We've got a lot of Kane. So, 32 out of the 39 are, of course, transferring out Kane. Aside from that, there's just like random players in here that, you know, if it's 1 out of 39, then that's definitely not a trend. It's definitely not something that we want to look into too much. I know it's, you know, people are transferring out Son, Welbeck, Kulusevski, Vardy, James, and Jesus. But one person out of 100 doing that move, it's not a trend. It's just an individual experience, so I wouldn't really take it that like too much from that, to be honest. Mason Mount, however, kind of a little tiny bit interesting. 3 people who have got Mason Mount are taking him out, which I don't know. That actually kind of seems like a lot, because I would imagine that out of our experts, probably only, you know, 10 to 15 to maybe 20% of them have Mason Mount, and a lot of those who are have got Mason Mount are apparently taking him out this week. I can kind of understand why. He didn't play too well in that opening fixture, did he, against Everton, and he did get substituted off fairly early. So understandably, some of our experts are panicking Mount out, but at the same time, a lot of people are sticking with Mason Mount. So again, I'm not really sure that's enough data to suggest it's worth you know, transferring him out. So basically, guys, if you've got all of the expert players already, there's no one really you need to transfer out other than maybe Kane. And why on earth would we transfer out Kane? Well, let me tell you why. Because Erling Haaland is goated. Is absolutely goated. In fact, out of the popular transfers in among our experts, it's only Haaland. The only player that had any trend whatsoever is Haaland. All of the other players, there's like a few other random ones here. Rodrigo, Foden, Bowen, Martinelli, Walker, Da Silva, and Jesus there. Some of those are obviously downgrades in order to afford Haaland now. There's pretty much like... There's no one that you guys should basically be focusing. According to expert data, there is no one we should be focusing on other than Haaland. There's no one else worth going for. So, basically, I think what we can probably derive from this information that we've got from our experts is the only transfer move worth making is Kane to Haaland. There is nothing else that's worth doing. Absolutely nothing else worth doing whatsoever. If you're not doing that, don't even bother making a transfer. Just save the transfer. If you've already got Haaland, just save the transfer. Bank the transfer. And that pretty much is what our data tells us. Now, if you do need to downgrade one of your other players and take a -4 in order to get Haaland, I can kind of understand that. And I think that's where you can maybe go for some other players maybe. But it's difficult to say what players to bring in other than Haaland this week. You're probably going to want to just trust whoever you've got. But let's try and suggest some transfer moves anyway. So obviously Kane to Haaland makes sense. If you've got Vardy, you haven't got Kane, you haven't got an expensive striker, but you have got Vardy. Maybe Vardy to Haaland is something that you could potentially think about doing if you can manage to afford that somehow. And maybe Jesus to Haaland. I guess if that's your only option, the only way you can get to Haaland is by taking Jesus out. I guess you could do it. We actually, among our experts, one person actually bought Jesus and one person sold Jesus, so I guess that kind of counterbalances itself, but I certainly wouldn't be looking to sell Jesus unless I absolutely have to. But I guess if you've got Vardy or Ronaldo or someone like that to Haaland, that looks pretty good. If you need to free up funds to do that, then there are some potential downgrades that I think maybe stick out a little bit from our expert data. So the biggest or most obvious downgrade you can make is like Mount to Martinelli. If you haven't got Martinelli already and you have got Mason Mount, even Kulusevski. I think one person sold Kulusevski, but again, this is not really trends. Yeah, Mount to Martinelli or Mount to Rodrigo potentially. If you want to try and free up some money that way, that is an option for you. And also one person also was downgraded Reece James to Kyle Walker as well. So if you do need to make 2 transfers, take that -4 in order to move Kane to Haaland, then these are the kind of downgrades you could potentially make that actually I think could potentially improve your team at the same time. So James to Walker, certainly for this game week, you're probably going to go net positive points. Maybe if you want Reece James a little bit longer term, maybe don't do that one. But these are just some various options that you can go for. But there we go. There's suggested transfers. Basically, try and get Haaland in. Try and sell Kane. If you have to take a -4 to do that, then so be it. But try and at least improve your squad by taking that -4. I don't think you absolutely have to get Haaland in for a -4. There is obviously the options to just not make that move and just roll your transfer. If you've already got Haaland in, just roll the transfer. You don't really need to panic and do anything really. You're in a pretty good position. But finally, guys, let's have a look at captaincy, because it's not just about transfers today, it's also about captaincy. So who are the experts captaining? Well, surprise, surprise, it's the main man again. We've got another Erling Haaland picture on screen, because this game week seems to be all about him. People really putting a lot of confidence in him as that focal point at home against Bournemouth. It's a fantastic fixture against a newly promoted team. We saw that Haaland is now the focal point of this Manchester City attack. We didn't know how that would play out exactly. We know Haaland is now on penalties, which we didn't know exactly before. In one game week, I know one game week isn't usually enough to get a lot of data from, but certainly that one game week against West Ham, Man City against West Ham, Haaland against West Ham, is certainly given us a lot to think about, and therefore he is by far the most popular transfer in among everyone in FPL. Whether you're a casual player or whether you're an expert player, Haaland is always the most popular player this week, and also the most popular captain as well. So we're pretty much looking at like 75% of experts going for Haaland, about a quarter of our experts going for Salah as an alternative. So Salah is definitely still worth considering, but he doesn't look like the favourite right now. And there's two other players there, just 3 people going for those differential captains this game week. De Bruyne against Bournemouth, 2 people going for him, 2%, and just 1 person going for Cancelo as well. So really, it's either Salah or far more popularly, is that a word? I don't know. Popularly? It's not a word. In far more popular ways, we have the Man City players against Bournemouth at home, which is obviously an insanely good fixture. Haaland, obviously the favourite there. De Bruyne and Cancelo, kind of marginal options there as well. So there we go. There's your expert captain picks for the game week. Just 4 different players being utilised in game week 2. Well, there we have it, guys. A video that tells you so little and yet so much. It's all about Haaland this game week, and if you already have him, you don't need to do anything. And if you don't have him, probably try and find a way of getting him into your FPL teams. That's all I'm going to say on that one. Guys, if you did enjoy this video, please do leave a like. Please do subscribe as well if you are new around here. We've got a few more videos to come this game week, so do stay tuned for those. And of course, we're going to do some streams at the weekend as well as we get ready for the game week 2 deadline. But yeah, once again, thank you so much for watching. Hopefully see you on tomorrow's video, and I'll see you later, mates. Bye bye.